Following breaking news happening right now. Worldwide outages are impacting banks and 911 services. And in the last 4 hours, the FAA issued a ground stoppage for several major airlines. So overnight, we confirmed it has to do with network issues linked to Microsoft systems. And in the last 2.5 hours, Microsoft 365 status posted on X saying that services are seeing some improvements. We're going to have plenty more on this breaking story in just 1 minute. But first, let's update you on our forecasts. At least this looks beautiful outside, Ben. A live look from downtown Minneapolis. In the middle of all the chaos this morning, at least the weather is cooperating.
Yeah, it looks like that'll be kind of the easiest part of your morning for sure. It looks like temperatures a little warmer than this time yesterday. Remember, we're looking at 50s and even 40s across parts of the metro and even 30s across northern Minnesota. Yesterday, not the case today. It's noticeably warmer and temperatures today should be pretty much on par with what we saw yesterday with high temps right around 80 degrees. Here's your hour-by-hour forecast. Temperatures in the 70s by about 9 o'clock this morning. Should be a mostly sunny start, although you can see from this sky cam we do have some cumulus clouds out there this morning. Bottom line, another nice day today. It will become a bit on the muggy side as we head into the weekend, and yes, a few chances for some showers and storms this weekend and early next week, but these are small isolated storm chances and primarily during the afternoon and early evening hours. Most of the morning and during the overnight hours should be totally dry. Let's get a quick look at the roads this morning. We are not tracking any major issues to start off the day, but just keep in mind we did see some construction projects kind of pick up again about the middle part of the week. So just plan on that if you are heading out to work this morning. Jason?
All right, Ben, thank you very much. Let's get back to that breaking news that you're waking up to here on this Friday. Massive outages linked to Microsoft network issues are impacting people around the world and right here in the metro. In the last hour, we learned it's because of a system update and not a cyber attack. So if you use Microsoft Windows, a lot of you will be seeing this when logging onto your computer this morning. Some call it the blue screen of death. Microsoft working on the problem. However, the outages are impacting some 911 services and some banks as well. And there's also major disruptions at airports nationwide right now. This is a live picture from Atlanta, one of the busiest airports in the country, but looking pretty slow right now. In the last 4 hours, the FAA reported a ground stoppage for several major airlines. Michelle Beck is at MSP right now with new details coming in about the impact locally. And Michelle, it has been chaos all morning.
Chaos certainly all morning long as we have been here. That chaos building and building over the hours. And so you mentioned that blue screen of death. This is exactly what a lot of these kiosks, I mentioned a lot, not all of these kiosks are looking like this morning. Take a look over there at the screen above the check-in counter as well. The check-in counter, I will say, the line is moving, though very slowly. Those blue screens up there as well. And so a lot of these customers finding out this morning in the last hour, slowly, one by one, that their flights have either been canceled or delayed. I just found out some travelers heading to JFK told me their flight has been delayed. And when you mentioned that chaos, Jason, I'm hearing things like, are we in New York, LaGuardia? That's really how bad it is here. MSP normally doesn't look like this, maybe minus some holidays. This is kind of comparable to what a holiday travel weekend might look like. And all this, as 30 minutes ago, Delta gives us this big statement, big picture, that Delta has paused its global flight schedule this morning due to a vendor technology issue impacting several airlines and businesses around the world. And so note that vendor technology issue, they haven't really specified what exactly the source of that problem is, and that remains the question this morning. Also do note, if you are flying Delta, they are issuing a travel waiver this morning. Now, I spoke with an airport official, again, not Delta, but an MSP official about the scene. I asked him the very question that every passenger this morning wants to know. Any information that you have about when this chaos will subside?
No, I don't. Given that it's, system issues across the country and not just in airports and travel, that's a bigger question that goes beyond this airport. But I can tell you that we've got a lot of team members that are trying to interact with the airlines and with our TSA partners and try to make sure that we can help through the situation.
Now, I'm surrounded by people who are supposed to be flying Delta. A little bit of good news, some hope for some Delta passengers. I mean, one man who I spoke with earlier an hour ago finally came out of that check-in line and told me he was rebooked to American Airlines. Here's what American Airlines is saying, tweeting out this morning. As of 4 a.m., they've been able to safely reestablish their operation. A similar message from United Airlines. As of about 30 minutes ago, they are saying they are resuming some flights, but expect schedule disruptions to continue throughout the day. And so that is the message from airport officials here at MSP, is really check in with every airline directly, whichever one you're flying to, because everybody might have different messages about what's really the impact of this really global, widespread issue here. Jason.
That is good advice. You can feel the frustration growing out there. Michelle, thank you. The CEO of the security firm CrowdStrike posted on X saying this is not a security concern or cyber attack, but rather a software issue. And he says they are working right now to get things back up and running. In the last 4 hours, the St. Louis County Sheriff's Office posted an update on Facebook saying their 911 services are up and running as normal. So Cece has been reaching out to other agencies. And Cece, what are you hearing?
Hey, Jason. Yeah, so in case you're just joining us, I want to start by showing you an updated downdetector.com site. You can see there are yellow dots all across the country showing user-submitted problems reported with 911 over the past 24 hours. Now, 3 hours ago, all of these dots were red, so seeing some improvement already this morning. You see this yellow dot actually over Minneapolis. So right when I got into work, I did a deeper dive to see what counties in our viewing area were actually impacted by this outage. Over the last 3 hours, I called around and learned that most 911 services in our viewing area are working for now. So I have a list. If you're living in Stearns County, Hennepin, Ramsey, Dakota, Carver, Anoka, Scott, Washington counties, you will be able to get help if you need it this morning. But if anything changes and those 911 services do go down, it's recommended that you call a non-emergency number. So you can search that on Google. That's what I did this morning. You can also call lines in your county, use other numbers to reach first responders, like the direct line to a local police department. You can do that, or you can send a text to 911. Even though most services are on, some areas are changing up just how they're operating because of this outage. I'll have more on that in a few minutes, Jason.
Thank you very much. And like we said, several banks are also impacted. Around 1 a.m., this is what U.S. Bank customers saw when logging into their accounts. We just checked on the bank's website minutes ago. It's now back up and running. Of course, this is a quickly developing situation, a lot of moving parts here. We're going to check back in about 15 minutes for the latest. You can also follow the latest updates online at KARE11.com. Time now 6:07, and turning now to the Republican National Convention, which wrapped up about 7 hours ago in Milwaukee. Former President Trump ending the night with his speech, officially accepting his party's nomination for president.
Well, former President Donald Trump walked up to a microphone and spoke for the first time since surviving an assassination attempt last Saturday. He began his 92-minute speech to the delegates by describing in detail what happened. Talked about the bullet whizzing past his ear, the pain he felt in the air, and diving to the ground and being surrounded by Secret Service agents.
I said to myself, wow, what was that? It can only be a bullet. And moved my right hand to my ear, brought it down. My hand was covered with blood, just absolutely blood all over the place.
Former President Trump echoed what many of his supporters here in Milwaukee and members of the Minnesota delegation have said, is that he survived that assassination attempt because of divine intervention. They leave this convention more convinced than ever that they believe something that Donald Trump said himself, which is that God is on his side. In Milwaukee, John Croman, KARE 11 News.
Now, prior to Trump's speech 10 hours ago, the Biden campaign released a new ad warning voters about Project 2025. That's the presidential transition plan put forth by the conservative Heritage Foundation. The Biden campaign says it includes cruelty and extremism. Trump has said that he knows nothing about it. Back here at home, Minneapolis police officers have a new contract this morning. The city council approved it shortly after our sunrise show yesterday morning. That contract will raise base pay in MPD about 22% over 3 years. It also gives the chief more power in staffing and operational changes. Chief O'Hara says this is needed to help address the staffing crisis as they continue the department's reform. The contract will also expand paid leave for officers under investigation. Council members voted 8-4 in favor of the agreement, with the minority expressing hesitancy that the contract does not push enough reform.
Pay raises without real and permanent reform does not actually lead to an increased healthy workforce.
Having the pay increases, having it being one of the best paid in this state is absolutely necessary to retain the outstanding men and women of this agency and to attract the very finest young men and young women who are looking to serve.
Now, the city will have to figure out how to pay for all of this and need to approve a budget by the end of the year. Negotiations for the next contract begin next year. Time now 6:10.